All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday morning bar. My camera's a little off kilter here. And we're going to start on our feet. So very often we start on the floor. We're going to start on our feet and end on the floor. So you want to have all your usual goodies nearby, a yoga block or a ball. Weights are sometimes nice for arm work. But we're not going to use any of that. I'm going to briefly roll up my pants here for you guys. We're just going to walk and start to warm up some motion through the feet and the ankles, through the hips and the knees. So really simply pick up a heel and then put it down as you pick up the other one. And so you get this little slow motion walking in space. Right? It really doesn't need to be any more dramatic than just a shift in where your weight falls or where it rests. You do this for, I don't know, a minute or so. After you've begun to walk, you can decide if you want to take it a little deeper, stretch over the top of the foot. You can add a little bit of a plie into the walking. Ooh, I'm crunchy this morning. There you go. Yeah, let's say a couple more times across the sides. And then we'll go ahead and let the feet come to ground. Bring the inner edges of the feet and the knees together. Right? Super important to keep the knees together for all of this. And just place your hands lightly on them as a little guide. Make the tiniest circles with the knees. And so, of course, this puts a little bit of rotary motion within the knee joint, but also in the ankles. Right? If you're interested in anatomy, you can find some really interesting, go ahead and reverse the circles, YouTube videos on the function of these joints. And you'll see that a little bit of this rotary motion is by design. All right, when you've gotten that little bit of rotary motion, go ahead and stretch your legs and bring them to a neutral distance. Well, maybe with a hand on your bar or your dresser top, extend one leg forward and just roll through the ankle. Spread your toes. Right. Do this a couple more times and then go the other way. Steady over your standing leg and not locked into the hip or the low back. Let's end with the toes flexed. Ooh, cramp, sorry. End with the toes flexed. And then finally work into the hip a little bit, rotating outward and back to parallel. So this motion is up in the hip, rotating to the side and then forward. Do a couple more. One more. And then we do a weird thing. We rotate inward. And these are more like little pulses. It's a very subtle movement, rotating inward. 3 more times. And then we're going to take this leg behind and finally get a stretch of the front of that hip. Lunging into the leg you were standing on. We're stretching through the front of this hip. We're stretching through the calf, through the back of the knee. Use your low abs to draw the front of the pelvis up and just hang out here for a moment. We'll take a little bit of a twist toward the front leg without letting the back hip fall forward. And then release. Take a side bend as well. Lifting up the same arm as the back leg. And all of these are ways of not only stretching the waist, but of stretching the hip flexor. Bring it forward. Step forward. Shake out this leg. We're going to stand on it. And we extend the opposite leg forward and make little circles with the ankles. I'm going to change the hand that's supporting me. Kick it forward. And just circle through the foot. the ankle, of course, but also the foot. So the bones in your feet are doing this sort of fanning motion all the way down to the ends of your toes. Reverse. You might get some crunchy noises here too. End with the foot flexed, and we focus on the turn out from up in the hip. And releasing to parallel. Turning the inner thigh forward and releasing. Looks like we have some other people joining. Good morning. Hello.
Hi.
We do a couple, 3 more times. Feeling lateral rotation in the hip. And then we go into the medial rotation, which is a little bit more subtle. Inward. Inward. 4 more times. And then we're going to put this leg behind us in a lunge. So we can stretch the front of the hip out a little bit. Here too, we use the abs to lift up the front of the pelvis, enhancing the stretch. We apply the glutes to assist with that extension. We have our thigh muscles working to stretch the knee. We'll stretch into the calf as well. And when you're stable here, we're going to twist toward the front leg. Have another breath in. Release the twist. And then same arm as the leg that's behind you, we lift up when we do a side stretch. Release this. And bring your legs underneath you. We're gonna find our ball or our block or whatever you want to use for inner thighs. If you don't have either of those things, simply being aware of how your feet are placed into ground will help. So we'll stand here, we'll talk a little bit about that. So we've got our feet underneath us, and we're just gonna breathe. So we focus initially on the breath and the length of your spine above your center. Breath is in your center, or the engine of your breath is in your center. I like to call the transversus the engine of your breath. We're gonna breathe in and draw that inhale all the way down into the bowl of the pelvis. And then Kegel, lightly contracting pelvic floor. And as you exhale, release the breath upward. And it is a release. So we're softening respiratory diaphragm. We're feeling the float upward of the breath and the spine. Inhale moves downward. The side ribs flare outward. The breath goes deep into your organs. And then Kegel, exhale, breath rises up. Keep that going for a couple more rounds. Of course, you know your lungs are in your chest and in your rib cage, but the effects of the breath actually press the organs downward a little bit, gently. That's your inhale. And then as you exhale and release the pressure of the breath, release the volume of the breath, then you'll get a sense of float upward. We'll apply that now to the connection down through the legs. Inhale and bend the knees, breath dropping down into the pelvis. Exhale. Stretch the legs. Inhale, bend the knees. So what the breath does, the body does. Center lowers as the breath drops down. And then as you exhale and stretch the leg, your center rises as the breath lifts up. All right. So we've got this going through at least half of our body. Right? We're obviously standing on our legs. Let's give a little bit more thought to what's going on specifically. Feel that the inner thighs, although they're separated, have a relationship across the space at the bottom of the hips or the bottom of the pelvis. Not only do they have a drawing inward, but they have a lengthening up and down through the space between. That space roughly continues the line of your spine. We're really trying to complete the circuit into ground so that as you exhale and stretch the legs, not only do you have that reach upward through the breath, but you have a physical reach downward through the bottoms of your feet from your core. Please do that one more time. Feel up and down. And keep the connection up and down, specifically between the inner thighs and through the grounding of the feet. And on your next inhale breath, lift your heels up. As you exhale, lower. Now, the motion of the body is contrary to the motion of the breath, right? So the inhale moves downward, and through that downward breath, the center rises upward. As the exhale rises, you lower in a supported way through the rising of the breath. Okay. Inhale and exhale. We're going to come up 3 more times to the top. Begin to feel this as balanced work in the feet, balanced across the sides and also balanced through the center line of the feet. We'll come up that final time and stay here. Now you might want to put a hand down, you might not need to. Feel the broad platform of the balls of the feet, the toes stretching forward as the arches lift, the back of the knees stretched as the quad muscles work, the inner thighs drawing together and stretching up and down their length as you maintain tone in pelvic floor and height upward through the spine. Inhale, bend the knees a little bit, and exhale, fully stretch. We're bending the knees a smidge, spine remains vertical, and exhale, stretching the legs. 6 more times, we're a total of 8. Feel specifically medial quads as you stretch the knees. Try not to strain the tops of the toes. And I can't remember if that was 4 or 5, but please continue through 8 or 8-ish. Couple more. Good, you guys. Straighten your legs one last time. And then inhale, ease the heels down as the breath drops into the pelvis. Exhale, bend into the knees, and that should feel like a nice stretch for the back of the ankles, the calves, and the bottoms of the feet. We're going to pulse downward here, keeping the heels on the ground and allowing a little bit of a pitch forward through the torso, maintaining neutral posture through the spine. I'll give you a side view. Bottom of the ribs in the plane of the belly. We exhale, squeeze the ball, and pulse down. Come up a little bit with your inhale in the bottom of our range now, pulsing down. Keep the heels centered. Up a little. 6 more times, please. Try not to pinch or gather tension in the low spine halfway through. Instead, work the muscles inside the bony part of the pelvis and find length through and width across. 2 more. Stay at the bottom and pulse inward through the inner thighs, keeping your feet level with the ground. Of course, the arches are lifted. Exhale, squeeze top of inner thighs. Inhale, release. Relax outer part of hips. Release. 3 more. Inhale, stretch your legs. And exhale, lift your heels. Breath and center rising at the same time. Inhale, bend your knees. Slide the spine down your wall. Exhale, ground your heels. Allow the torso to adapt so the heels can lower to the floor. And then inhale, stretch your legs. Exhale, rise up from your releve. Inhale, bend your knees. Vertically balanced through the spine. Exhale, reach the heels down. Neutral spine adapting. Inhale, stretch. 4 more times, please. Rising up on the exhale. Bending the knees on the inhale. Good, you guys. Heels lower. And legs stretch. We have the final 3 times. Yes. Last couple repetitions. And that last repetition is actually only a half repetition. We rise up on the inhale or exhale. We bend the knees on the inhale. And we pause here and return to that squeeze between the inner thighs. We definitely have our heels lifted. We're balanced across the span of the balls of the feet, both of them. And we're trying to relax the top of the toes and lift the arch forward as we exhale and squeeze inward. Inner thighs. Squeeze with inner thighs, not outer thighs. The glutes are just kind of holding their length, right? So we're not contracting them. Last 2 here. Keep the squeeze now. Now we're going to exhale and lower the hips in little pulses. Up a little bit. You'll feel an eccentric or stretching contraction of the glutes. So that's when the muscle is connected, but we're asking the fibers to stretch apart. It keeps elasticity in the back of the hips. Please do 3 more. Keeping our inner thighs as well. Last one. Inhale, lower heels. Exhale, lift them up. It's a thigh burner. Lower your heels on inhale, exhale, lift. Easy articulation through the toes, right? Through the metatarsals. Lifting the heels. 3 more times. Inhale, lower your heels to ground. And exhale, stretch your legs. Woo! Put the ball off to the side. Good, you guys. All right, coming down here. And we'll do a little bit of a quad stretch. So stand on your left leg, pick your right foot up from the outside, and just hold on to the top of the foot or the ankle. Stand here for a moment. Feel that eventually the weight of your thigh bone begins to hang vertically in space from your hip. And then we make little circles inside the thigh. I'm going to give you a better angle. So we're just doing little circles here. Of course, I wore all black today. Sorry.
Top's okay, but the bottom's tough.
Go the other way. Little circles here. Good. And then put that foot down. All right. So we do the other side with our quad stretch. I'll give you some difference in color. We'll pick up the other leg. Just stand for a little bit. Feel the weight of the thigh bone hanging down from the hip. And as you're ready, you can make little circles, swinging that thigh bone like a pendulum in a circular pattern. And then go the other way. Yeah. All right. Turning out. So once you've got your feet on the floor, you've got the outer hips. Relaxed isn't quite the word, but mobile, right? So we're not locked into the outer part of the hips. We're going to have a little bit of a distance between the feet. We'll rock the weight forward toward the toes so the heels are skimming the ground. And then using the muscles under the bottom of the pelvis and back, we bring the heels together, allowing the outer hips to glide, still supported but not locked. Keep all 10 toes spreading into the floor, and we'll inhale and bend the knees. Exhale and stretch the legs. Inhale, bend the knees. Exhale and stretch the legs. So kind of classic first position pliés. Get a sense of the sides of you, right? So before, when we were plying, we were going parallel directly forward and back. We should feel a more open space, not only across the hips, but maybe through the base of the feet, across the top of the chest and the shoulders. A little bit different sequencing here. The next time you bend the knees, pause. Make sure you've got the feet where you need them to be. You can even visually check that the knees aren't covering up the big toes or dropping to the inside. We want a little slice of big toe as the knees reach toward the center of the feet. And then we'll exhale or inhale, pardon me, lift the heels, and exhale, stretch the legs, lifting our center. Inhale, lower heels. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, lift the heels. I had to think about the breath. Exhale, I'm with the stretch of the legs at the top with the exhale breath. And then inhale, float the heels down. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, lift the arches. Exhale, inner thighs, medial quads. And inhale down. 3 more, please. Exhale, bending into the knees. Inhale, lifting the heels. Stretch those legs and stretch your spine. We're lengthened up and down the chain. We keep the length as we lower the heels. We do 2 more rounds. And 1 more. Good, you guys. And then keep the stretch through the legs, the stretch through the torso. And we work in and out of releve. Inhale up and exhale down. Halfway through, we have 4 more. Plie, bend the knees, and exhale, stretch the legs. Step your feet apart, or you can tendu into second position. Okay. So going directly into lateral movement here with a wide stance. Inhale, bend your knees. And just check for a moment. Okay, can I still see a slice of my big toe? All right. We want openness through the hips. We want a little bit of abductor work, right? Pulling the thighs back and away, and a lot of rotation work under the back of your hip. Inhale here, and exhale. Stretch from the ground through the length of your inner thighs and up the length of your spine. Inhale, bend the knees. Wide and open across the hips and the chest, and then exhale long from your center, up through the crown and down through the legs. Keep that going. Inhale and exhale. Good, you guys. 2 more, please. And then from the top of that last one with straight legs, we're going to press all the way up into our releve. Keep supported here, lifting in your center. Exhale. Now we inhale, widen and open the hips, reaching knees to side over the center line of the foot as we bend the knees, heels still lifted. Exhale, heels down. Inhale, stretch, and exhale. Keep working the inner thighs as you lift your heels. Inhale, a lot of ankle stability, a lot of lower leg work. Exhale, heels down. And inhale, reach to the length of your legs. Exhale, keep your reach as you rise. Inhale, bend, and so forth. Complete the round you're on and do 3 more. Actually, 2.5 more. Yes. With that last one, okay, we exhale, rise, and inhale, pardon me, bend your knees. We're going to lower and lift the heels and try and keep the height of the pelvis the same. Avoid dumping the chest forward, lift it up, the lower back sort of reaching into the space behind you. Inhale, heels down, exhale up. 5, 6, 7, 8, heels down, legs stretch, bring your feet parallel, bend into your knees, and cat-cow the spine. Exhale, rounding forward, and inhale, going the other way. Another time through, please. From a forward rounded position now, exhale and roll up. And then we're going to stand on our left foot, cross the right leg over top, and bend till we stretch that foot. So bending into the knees, top of the foot stretching. Try and keep the stretch parallel so we don't want to have any twist of the ankle or through the toes even. And then come on up. Stretch the top of the other foot, so directly into the other side. Crossing over, top of the foot on the ground, bending the knees. Find that parallel alignment through the top shin and top of the foot. And go ahead and come up. Okay. So a couple more things here. We're going to work into, or from a first position into some toe articulation, kind of returning to a theme that we had last week. We'll start with the legs going to the side though, right? So we'll have engaged our lateral rotators. We're supported but not gripped through the outer part of the hips. You want to let the thigh bones slide so inner thighs start to face toward the front. We're going to take the leg out to the side. Now this might be easier for you if you're wearing socks. I got my socks off so you can see what the heck my toes are doing. Right. We'll be standing on one leg. And when you stand on that one leg, don't overshoot the hip. Okay. Okay. You want to stand tall over the inner thigh and extend the other leg to the side. All right, we're going to drop the ball of the foot down on inhale, but not the heel. And exhale, pick it back up. Drop the ball of the foot down and pick it back up. I'm going to back up a little bit and maybe you can see what's going on better with my leg. Down and up. Working the foot a lot through the lower part of the calf as you pull the toes under. We're going for 8, so we probably got 2 or 3 more. Let's say this is our last one. And then shifting weight into that leg, to the heel, to the toes, to the heel, to the toes. And that comment about not overshooting your standing leg very much applies to this. 2 more. And on the point of the foot. And then supported without overshooting standing leg, pull in inner thighs and out. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Plie and stretch. Return to parallel and shake out your legs. So we're going to do the same sequence to the other side. You've already done it to one side. You won't have to suss out quite so much what we're doing with our toes, and you already know not to overshoot the hip. From parallel, find your lateral rotators and make your turned out position from the hips, not from the knees. Not overshooting the standing leg, we take the other one out to the side and then lower the ball of the foot and point to the tips of the toes. Inhale and exhale. 4 more. Nice and tall. Last one. And then the heel goes down. That'll feel nice for your calf. Feel the weight transferring into both legs and then onto one leg. Both legs. And one leg. Two more. Not overshooting, finding when you're balanced. Stay. Inhale, and then exhale, squeeze. 1, 2, 3, heading for 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plie and stretch. And release, rotation, shake out your legs. All right, so all of that, hopefully, has really woken up this inner line of the support for the knee, the inner thigh, our awareness of standing over our leg, because we're gonna stand on one leg again, but this time in parallel. So this might be just me, but I find it really easy, let me show you my worst side, as I bend a knee, to have the other one kind of roll in. Right. The thing that prevents the inward roll of that knee as you bend it is application of your lateral rotators. So if I'm using my lateral rotators as I bend my knee, it actually helps it to track forward. So that when I straighten my leg, I'm not pushing through a joint that's under torque. Right, and it actually helps to keep my legs safer. All right, so I'm going to stand on the first leg, which in my case is the right leg, or the left leg, and we'll do a set of 8 lowers and lifts. All right, so standing on the leg, not overshooting, nice and supported through core. We'll exhale here. Keep the lateral rotators engaged, and inhale, bend that knee, track it forward toward the center of the foot. So that when you exhale and stretch the leg, you're moving through a nice, straight, clean alignment of the elements of the joint. Inhale, bend your knee. Exhale, straighten your leg, connected from the foot into the ground, up into your center, up into the crown of the head. All right, now your other hand can be on your hip and just holding my clothing out of the way. We're about at that halfway point. Feeling fatigue in the foot and the ankle is entirely normal. Try not to wear out the outer part of your hip by gripping there. Dig deeper into your kegel, your inner thigh line. Connect to your big toe that's on the floor. Do 2 more. And 1 more. Ah, boy, put the other foot on the ground and shake out this leg. All right. I feel like that's a fair amount of work. It might just be me. All right. So good thing is that leg gets to rest. We're going to stand on the other leg. Right. not overshooting. We pick up the foot that we're not going to use. We have an exhale. See the space in front of you and feel organized around your center and down into ground. On your next inhale breath, bend your standing leg, taking it directly forward toward the center of the foot. You can even look at it if you need to. And then exhale, straighten the leg without twisting into the joint. Nice and parallel. Inhale, bending the knee. Kegel, exhale. Going through a set of 8. Make sure when you contract the thigh muscle to straighten the knee that you're pulling the energy toward the center of the muscle rather than jamming it into the bottom of the muscle at the knee joint or the top of the muscle at the hip. I'm going to feel the ends of the muscle lengthening. We got 4 more. The ends of the muscle lengthening, just like the knee and the hip are lengthening. Last 2. Last 1. And then put your foot down, shake out your leg. Whew. Okay. Both feet stay on the ground. We have another couple of things to do, and we'll start to use our weights as well. So I'm going to use my ball between the inner thighs. That's not necessarily something that you have to do, but it does help prevent the inward collapse of the knees. We just worked really hard to fix that. So, ball between the knees, or just awareness of tracking the knees forward, and palms facing forward. Not doing anything much with the legs besides standing on them at first. We're just going to start to warm up a little bit through the shoulders with some biceps curls. So before you bend your elbows, shrug your shoulders up and down, move them forward and back. Shoulders have a lot of mobility in general. We want to get right in the center spot, right in the neutral spot through the joint axis. Keep it there, and on the exhale, then bend your elbows. Inhale, stretch them. Exhale, support your spine so that as you bend your elbows, the action or the effort of the arms doesn't create a downward drag on the upper spine or base of the neck. Right. We have 4 more. Moving the arms synchronously, exercising the biceps without dragging the neck or the spine. And of course, we want to keep the chest open and lifted. 1 or 2 more. When you get to the point of straightening your arms the last time, think of an eccentric contraction through the muscles here, so the biceps remain engaged as the muscle fibers lengthen. We want that support, so we're not just hanging into hyperextension, right? So that as we exhale, we can bend into the knees and lift the arms forward. Inhale, stretch your legs and let your arms lower to your sides. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. 1 more. Now, if you're quite close to something by the side, you might want to move a little bit away from it because we add to this. We exhale, bend the knees, and reach the arms forward. Stay here. Inhale, spread the chest, opening arms apart. Exhale, bring the arms forward. And inhale, lower the arms to your sides, stretch your legs. 3 more. That's it, you guys. Don't pull on your upper spine with your arm work. Support from below through your core and your legs. and pause. So I'm going to turn in space and give you the side view. We're going to bend into the knees and hinge the body forward just a little bit. We're going to pick weeds one at a time with our arms. Stretch and lower. Now you're twisting as you exhale and bend the elbow, and inhale, release. Now, don't let the arm work drag on your shoulders here either. Rely on your legs and that solid breath connection into your lower belly muscles as well as transversus. 2 more across the sides. And then stretch your legs, bring your arms up by your sides, and put your weights down for a moment if you're using them. All right, so we're going to do just a little bit of hinging forward, and here too you want to make sure that your arms aren't obstructed if you reach them in a circular path. So feet underneath you, a little bit of softness in the knees if you're a hyperextender. Certainly keep the muscles of your thighs engaged and your spine neutral. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Two more. So we're articulating the hips. We're relying on the muscles deep in the interior of the torso rather than superficially through the low back. Now, keeping your arms back by your sides, inhale and exhale. Bend your knees, reach your arms forward. Inhale, stretch your legs, pull your arms back by your hips. And exhale, stand up. It's a 4-part movement. Inhale, hinge, chest open, arms back, and then exhale, bend your knees, stretch your arms overhead. Feel the shoulder blades rotating on the back of the ribs. Inhale and exhale. 4 more. Inhale, hinge. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe. Two more. And last one. So put the ball off to the side, kick out your legs a little bit, and find your weights again. We're going to come into a wide stance, the second position. So we'll have lateral rotation, and you get to decide how much of that lateral rotation feels like a stable base for you. Right, we're going to be doing some one arm work, lifting the arm overhead. So just sort of quick and dirty. We've done this before. It's like this, yeah. And we'll do about 8 on one side before doing 8 on the other side. So both of our legs are solid underneath us. We'll be hinging a little and then stretching through the hips and extending one arm overhead. Inhale, bend, and then exhale. Inhale, neutral spine, knees going out of the way. Exhale. Four more. Last two. Let the arm come down. Roll your shoulders, and then of course we work through the other side. So get the angle of the feet and the knees that is appropriate. And here we go. We breathe in, reach down and forward, and then breathe out. Keep the integrity of the neutral spine and reach from the core, from the legs, as you extend the arm from the shoulder. So use the support of the long chains of muscles below you as you reach that arm overhead. Arms are long and they're far away from your center. All right, don't be tempted to push from your neck or even from your shoulder joint. The joint is kind of a way station for the movement. 3 more. And everything contributes to that nice extension upward. 1 more for me. Roll your shoulders. Okay, bring your feet underneath you. If you remember that exercise we did, with the 4 parts, we're gonna do standing on one leg, just 4 more of those on each side, okay? So I'm gonna start standing on my left leg. If you are uncomfortable lifting your right foot from the floor, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can keep your toes lightly on the ground. What matters is that the weight is in the left leg. And we're standing firmly over our core. Palms forward. Exhale, lift the arms in front. Inhale, open to the side. Exhale, bring the arms back in front. Inhale, lower. Find the foot that's on the ground. Lengthen, not just through your spine, but through the leg you're standing on, especially from the hip. Put the foot down. So move your shoulders around a little bit. We're almost to the mat, you guys. So after we finish the second side, we'll be lying down. Stand on the new side. And I know I have to consciously activate my medial quad, find my big toe, my inner thigh, and then don't overshoot the hip. Here we go, 4. Exhale to lift the arms in front. Inhale to open. Exhale, reach forward. Inhale, close. Exhale. And lower. Good, you guys. Put your weights down. I'll move my camera around. We'll come to the floor. And you can have a blanket for your head if you like. You're not going to need a lot of props. There we go. Whoops. Sorry, got my shirt in your screen. All right. So we're going to lie on our backs. Oh, that should feel good. Make sure that your head is able to rest back. So if you got a ponytail or something weird that's shoving your head forward, get rid of it. And without the benefit of a block or a ball, we want to place the feet below us in neutral and just breathe. So awareness of breath up and down through the center. We preface each exhale with awareness of Kegel, and from that foundational point, feel connection streaming up the spine, down the inner thighs, into the arches of the feet. Inhale, breath draws to that center point, and exhale, expands up and down from it. Taking your time with this, feel that lengthening through your axis, and then put some depth into it so that there's space between the front and back surface of the ribs, between the belly wall and the back of the pelvis. And that's more of a, I don't know, an imagery, a feeling, a release, an allowing, than a, oh, well, I gotta do something. And similarly, put a release and allowing across the width of the hips and the width of the shoulders. We'll imprint and release a couple of times. We're going to use a 2-breath pattern. Prepare with a breath in from your Kegel as you exhale and feel your length extending up and down. Make an imprint, drawing the low spine toward the ground. When you've completed the breath and the action, then inhale and release to neutral. We repeat it, yeah? And I want you to think of this as a spinal movement that the pelvis cooperates with, as opposed to a pelvic movement that the spine goes along for the ride with. It's a spinal movement. The pelvis allows, returning to neutral. And then I'd like you to imprint one more time, please. Keep your imprint, and then I'd like you to pick up your right foot and cross the ankle over top the left knee. Please flex the foot, and as you allow this right thigh to open laterally, maintain the integrity of the line through the shin bone, the ankle, and the foot. We are imprinted. We're still imprinted here. Use your imprint to not only feel length through the low spine, but to get a little better feeling of security through the balance of the pelvis. Holding here for a little bit, we can optionally begin to lift the bottom foot using your hands to help support the back of the thigh as that foot comes up. All right, so it's kind of like pigeon pose in yoga, right? So it should be a pretty sweet stretch for this part of your right butt. If you'd like, you can sort of play with stretching the top leg as well. That's entirely optional. Have another couple of breaths here. And then we're going to sneak this left foot back down to the ground if you've lifted it. All right. Some options here. So if you're watching the screen, you'll get a visual for what I'm doing. You can turn the hips to the left and put the sole of the right foot on the ground. And you have this weird sort of peek through the knee, right? Should still be aligned. If that does not feel good for your spine, for your hip, for even for your neck, for whatever, right? Don't go there. I'll give you 2 other options. You can cross the legs in a more parallel way and drop them off to the left. Or you can simply stack the legs, right? Don't necessarily press them down either. You go to where you go and just breathe here. Once you found the position that you're going to work in through the lower body, you can begin to spread the right shoulder back and turn the head in that direction if the neck allows it. We just lie here for a couple more breaths. Let's say 3 more exhales. Good, you guys. Toward the end of your last exhale, you're going to return to a centered position. You might allow the knees to stack before you do that. Again, knee safety, back comfort are always kind of the watchwords for this. And when you've returned so that both hips or the back of the pelvis is square on the ground, uncross the legs. Return to neutral and stretch your right knee out a little bit. So we're going to do the same sequence on the other side. Yeah. We'll return to our kind of standard, both knees bent, spine neutral position. Remembering that imprint is a spinal movement. On the next exhale, make your imprint, moving your low spine into length and then into flexion. Pelvis coordinates with that movement. And then once you're there, once you're steady, we'll pick up the left foot and cross the ankle over the right knee, flexing the left foot and keeping the alignment through the lower leg, foot and ankle as we find our more open position laterally. Hang out here for a couple rounds of breath. Allow the outer hip to glide into openness. And if you feel like you want to lift the bottom leg, you can start to move toward that. Avoid unbalancing or even rolling the pelvis. You're going to assist with your hand and your abs, of course, as you pick the bottom leg up off the floor. Holding into this stretch, stretching this sort of bottom outer pocket of the hip. If you want to straighten and then bend the top leg, you can do that. Work your arm strength from your core rather than from the base of your neck. We have a couple more breaths here. Sort of like a pigeon stretch, yeah. And then if the top leg is straight, bend it. If the top leg is lifted, lower it down. We're going to move into our twist, and you'll do the version that's best for you. You can maintain this sort of figure 4 position. You can close the legs, twisting the left leg over the right, or you can stack the knees. You are turning from the waist rather than shearing between the pelvic halves. So the attachment through the sides of the sacrum is stable and safe. Your tailbone isn't swishing up or down. It's just a straight line under your axis. Whatever twist you've chosen to do, you're able to maybe move the left shoulder back. You can extend the arm to the side. You can turn the head to the left. And if you're on the other leg, it's simply toward the top side, the top leg. Three more exhales, holding the twist. Returning from twist, I like to let the top leg drop down and then help myself back from that twist. Both feet flat on the ground. Return through neutral, remove your head mat. We do one rebalancing hip roll from the placement of the feet. We inhale, and from the initiation of the exhale, we start to move the spine, flexing it. Pressing down through the bottom of the feet, we'll lift a vertebra at a time, continuing to flex through the different layers of the spine, levels of the spine, on the way up to the shoulders. No pressure in the head, either up or down or back. And then exhale, roll back down, using both feet and legs equally. Feel the inner thighs. Moving equally through the body halves. Ribs dropping back through the open shoulders. Bending at the bottom of the ribs, relaxing your respiratory diaphragm on exhale. Move your low spine down to the mat. Let the weight of your hips rest. Return to neutral. Stretch out your legs one at a time. And if it feels okay to you, you can take your arms back. I like to hold opposite elbows. Might feel nice for you to extend through the elbows and reach through the fingers. You want to feel like you're lounging here for just the space of a half a minute or so. Even close the eyes. You can be on some beach or some hillside in the sun, wherever you want to be. Resting and breathing. Two more rounds of breath. Toward the end of your last round of breath, bring your arms down by your sides if you've lifted them overhead. And then inhale, open the eyes. Keep your focus soft, but see the space around you. Exhale and a sigh. And that's it this morning, you guys. Take your time getting up. Of course, it's a perfect place to stay and stretch if you have more to do. I'm going to turn off the recording. Have a great day, you guys.